Hello, souls and demons. Welcome back. Today I have a couple of shorter horror stories to share with you today. The first two were written by C.B. Jones, and if you enjoy the show, he has an audiobook out called The Rules of the Road that I provided several hours of audio for. So if you'd like to support that, the link will be in the description, and I do appreciate it. And with that, let's sit back and grip our seats and enjoy the show. This story is called Last to Leave the Club, written by C.B. Jones. I'm starting to wonder if my Uber will ever come. My battery is dwindling and I'm standing all alone outside of a club on the edge of town. It is closed for the night and everyone has gone home. While I wait, let me tell you what happened. So this club is located on the edge of town, next to some abandoned buildings and industrial businesses that are open only during the day. It's gotten a new life in recent years as a sort of revitalized hipster dive. It was once a biker bar, almost closed down after a slew of stabbings, and was reborn under new ownership. You know the kind of place. PBR and Fireball for $5, a couple of old school arcade games, a string light on a patio, American spirits for sale and a cigarette machine. If you've got $1 for every beer, glasses, and plaid combo you saw, you'd walk out of there with money to hit one of the classier joints in town. I'd been out with some friends and a band played on the back patio until about 12:30. It was pretty packed during the show and the music was grooving. But once they stopped, it emptied out pretty quickly. My friends and I had decided to stay until last call, and we were the last patrons to leave. The bar staff disappeared as soon as we exited, and I realized I'd left my cigarettes on the back patio. I told my buddies not to wait up, and I jumped the fence, grabbed the pack, and came back out to an empty parking lot. The silence was eerie. I couldn't even hear the sounds of the city. A single sodium vapor light cast its spooky blue-green glow onto the asphalt parking lot, and I could barely make out my car, clear on the other side. I made my way towards it, fished my keys out of my pocket. As I got closer to the vehicle, I clicked the unlock button on my key fob. The interior dome lights slowly turned on. Did I see what I think I just saw in the back seat? Was there a shadowy figure there or just my eyes playing tricks on me? I was too far away to be sure. I instinctively clicked the lock button. The lights went out, about 20 yards away. I clicked the unlock button again and the dome lights slowly lit up the interior. There was no mistaking it. Someone was sitting back there. The silhouette was all wrong, though. Clearly human of some kind, but with a skull that was 50% bigger than average. The head was crooked. The eyes were white and big, like glowing ping pong balls as the thing in the back seat smiled at me and stared. A large nose parted the veil of black wet hair that cascaded down its face. I instantly locked the door with the remote. The car went dark. I stood frozen in place, unable to move for several seconds and simply stared at my car. The windows were completely dark, and I couldn't make out anything. After the shock wore off, I darted back to the club, looking over my shoulder the entire way. Nothing followed. I was more than a little buzzed, and past experiences had led me to mistrust the police. So I decided to get home and come back during the day to get my car. Surely this was all just my imagination. I received an alert on my phone that my driver would be arriving. The driver had long black hair, and their face was obscured in their photo. Across the parking lot, my headlights turned on. Alright, this next story by C.B. Jones is My Uber Driver Has a Body in His Trunk. The construction's always bad up here. I mean, they're always working on it. I'm talking years and years, one section at a time. I say. It's like they'll do a 2-mile stretch for a year or two and then move on to the next 2-mile stretch. And then the next, and then the next. Fix a bridge here and overpass there. By the time they get to the end of this 10-mile stretch, then it's time to do it all over again. Rinse and repeat, I say. Ha! Rinse and repeat, I like that. I tell you, my wife most likely follows them type of instructions in the shower, in there for an hour. It's hell on the utility bill, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. With his mask bunched up down past his mouth, spittle flying as he yammers on. If he has corona, then I have corona. Ah yes, my wife, 33 years with that long shower-taking woman. I wouldn't trade her for anything. Although I might have to ask for the make and model though. A hearty slap of his thigh and his laugh echoes around the car's interior, and he veers into the opposite lane and overcorrects and swerves back and forth. He doesn't say anything. From the trunk of the car, there's a thump, thump, thump. I suddenly get nervous. He says he has a wife. Any kids? Grandkids? If you could have any vehicle, any make and model for free, what would it be? I don't know. Something reliable and with good gas mileage. A new Toyota Camry? A Camry? He sputters in disbelief. I'm not really much of a car person. A 66 Chevelle, a Shelby Cobra, or a souped-up 442 are up for grabs, and you pick a stinking Toyota Camry? I'm starting to not like my Uber driver. The mothball smell in the car suddenly becomes real apparent. His eyes look mean behind his glasses. His forearms are thick and sprouted with gray hairs. I notice the large hands gripping the steering wheel. Knuckles knotted and arthritic. Probably still very strong. Old man strength. If they were to get a hold of your neck or face or eye socket, good luck getting those pried loose. The trunk thumps again. Thump, thump, thump. It's like it's more frantic now. Does he hear that? Maybe he doesn't want to let on that he hears it. If he ignores it, it will just go away. You dang old millennials, I tell you what. You don't even know what a real car is. Hell, everything's made of fiberglass nowadays. Plastic bumpers. Back then, cars were made of the real stuff. I'm talking about metal. Those must have been the days. You're damn straight. The good old days. We used to... A loud thump cuts him off. There's no ignoring it now. Do you hear that? He asks as he turns to face me in the back seat. He looks concerned. All I can do is nod. My mouth is dry and my palms are sweaty. I'm just gonna pull over here and check it out. By this point, we've gotten off the highway and are on a main road that leads to the Greyhound station. He pulls off to a side street and slides out of the front seat and walks around to the trunk. I step out of the vehicle after him and for a brief second I think of running. A very dumb idea that vanishes as soon as it arrives. He stares down at the open trunk, the large black bag that I'd loaded back there. The bag, it wiggles and squirms. What in the... He says to himself, and looks back at me, and the look on his face is pure confusion and terror, as the knife goes across his neck quickly, and he reaches out after to stop the blade and cuts his hand. And I get about 7 more quick jabs into his gut and groin area, before he tries to run, but not before I topple his heavy body back into the trunk, with the other one. As I drive his car away, I start to laugh as I wonder, did the cars from the good old days have more spacious trunks? This next story is called Dark Desires, written by Seraphim663. I sat poised on the edge of my seat as I booted up the cheap laptop I purchased secondhand. The device was slow, and I could hear the gears grinding as the login screen loaded. I expected smoke to pour out as I typed in my credentials. A pop-up appeared, asking me to restart and update. With a deep sigh, I resigned myself to the update. What other choice did I have? My heart hammered in my chest as the files loaded and the computer ran through its diagnostics. This was the only way I could find Terry. My boy had been missing for 3 days. At first, I thought he was visiting after school at a friend's house, but he never returned home. He wasn't the type to run away either. I called the police and they opened an Amber Alert. They ran ads to find Terrence Holcroft, age 12, with brown hair and hazel eyes. Last seen wearing an Adventure Time t-shirt and tan shorts. We lived in a transitory neighborhood. I hardly knew any of my neighbors, and none of them had seen Terry on the day of his disappearance. I bought him a computer to play games with his friends and monitored his activity. He chatted with his friends over Twitch about Fortnite and Minecraft, along with Super Mario and gaming channels on YouTube. Terry didn't troll. He was never cruel or abusive. I didn't know what to look for or where to go. I logged into his computer to search for anything that would help. Searching through Twitch and Discord to find the same conversations with his friends and homework assignments, nothing new. Desperately, I browsed online to find anything else to find him. A Google site advised me how to review the router's browser history. After reviewing the system log, I found Terry had been using a VPN. Pulling up the VPN history to find episodes of Doctor Who and Black Mirror and a plethora of anime. I was about to give up and shut down his computer when a chat window formed on the screen. The text was neon red and melted down on the page. Unknown user. Mom, please help. I typed back. The font was practically bleeding off the page. User 1. Where are you? Unknown user. I need you to get another computer, one with a different IP address, and I need you to use Tor. Here's the site address so you can talk to me. A code string downloaded on the screen, and I feverishly scribbled it down. User 1. Are you okay? The screen went black, and I burst into tears. I hurried down to the local police office to make a report. The officer spoke to me in a soothing and condescending tone. They were doing everything to find Terry, but had no updates yet. They said that I needed to get some sleep and take care of myself. He gave me a card to a therapist, and I threw it back in his face. Gritting my teeth and keeping my composure, I silently left the police station. I stopped by a computer repair shop and purchased a used laptop. It looked to be in decent condition and was no worse for wear. The update button hit 99% and restarted. After it booted up, I downloaded our VPN browser and a Tor browser. I typed the address Terry gave me into the browser, and the same chat window appeared, red letters garishly melting into the background. Unknown user. So, you can follow instructions. User 1. Where is my son? Unknown user. They murdered your son over a year ago. User 1. He's not dead. Don't you remember? Terry found a link, much like this one over a year ago. He disappeared, and a few days later they found his body mutilated beyond repair. They had to order a DNA test to verify his identity. Stop! They found the perpetrator. He had been part of child abduction and a trafficking ring. They sentenced him to death because he kept his silence. My stomach lurched, and I wanted to reach through the screen and grab the person on the other side. I screamed, and it echoed throughout the empty house. But you can't let it go, can you? You keep searching for someone that isn't there. Someone who has been dead for over a year. Repeating the same patterns over and over, thinking it will change the outcome. Your husband felt the same pain you did, but you pushed him away. I'm reporting this to the police. Once this chat ends, all records of it will be gone. The police already think you're crazy. They lie and tell you they're still looking for him. They feel sorry for you. You lost your son and had to pick your husband's brains out of the wall after he shot himself. Shut up. I'll tell you a secret. The man that sits on death row is not the same man that murdered Terry. Sure, he knows who did, but he's taken a vow of silence for his master. I have an offer for you. I can bring Terry back and inflict all the pain wrought on him unto his killer. Why would you do this? The enemy of my enemy is my ally. You can't do this. No person can bring back the dead. Who said I was a person? My son's not dead. I sobbed quietly, and my hands shook. I remembered the photos and the police reports. My stomach lurched, and I vomited before curling on the floor in the fetal position. Yes, I want to make him pay. I want my son back, I murmured. The door opened suddenly, jolting me from my sadness. Mom, what are you doing in my room? Terry turned on the light and looked curiously around the room. Are you okay? He groaned, eyeing the pool of puke. I was cleaning. I think I ate bad Chinese food. Look, I'll go clean it up. I hugged Terry close to me, and he awkwardly patted my back. Mom, are you sure you're okay? I grabbed a roll of paper towels and cleaned the mess off of the floor before running to the washroom to freshen up. I padded downstairs to find my husband drinking coffee downstairs and watching the evening news. The force of my entrance nearly toppled him over. Honey, is everything all right? I'm just happy to see everyone. I kissed him, and a weight lifted off my shoulders. Terry and my husband were back, and everything was back in order. I noticed Terry was acting differently in the days that followed. He seemed distant and non-responsive. When I asked if he was okay, he said everything was empty and cold, like something was missing and that he felt out of place. My heart sank as I stared back at the laptop. My mind wandered back to Terry's murderer, who it was, what happened to them, or if they had a family. I shuddered and put these thoughts out of my mind. I sent Terry to school the following week as though nothing had happened. I considered burning the second-hand laptop as it sat in the corner. I sat down to watch the morning news before going to work. My stomach lurched again as news frantically covered a shooting at Terry's middle school. One student opened fire, killing 15 other kids. My phone started ringing, and I saw a squad car in my driveway. The officer told me that one of his classmates shot him, and I needed to identify the body. They took the shooter into custody and asked why a 13-year-old girl would open fire at a school. The shooter wailed. She saw her father burn to death in front of her. His flesh peeled from him. Ash spontaneously went up in flames. And if he were going to die, everyone would. Alright, this last story is called The Seasoning of the Witch, written by Seraphim663. I watched the oven as the skin crackled, the fragrant scent of meat and spices lingering in the kitchen. I stacked more wood into the stove. The heat must be even for the roast to be tender and delicate. A messenger knocked upon my door, calling me away from my duties. I implored my maid to watch over the roast while I went to the town square. But I tripped over the cobblestone path. The air clung with the stench of burning flesh. Shrieks of a burning woman cut through the massive crowd. The woman's name was Goody Porter. The town priest accused her of witchcraft after the children went missing. Her screams filled the air as the townspeople gathered, the priest glaring over them. They kneeled in abject silence, waiting for the screams to stop, for the priest to say it was safe to go home. Smiling as I watched her burn, her charred flesh peeling from her skin, and the stench of her torment rising to the heavens. I had always hated Goody and her simplistic ways. She was only a milkmaid. She had the intelligence of a child. There was no way she could be a threat to children. but she would stop by the path to collect flowers and pray to the old gods. So many villagers prayed to the old gods and would teach their children to do so. I would not have it. God would damn them from salvation. By accusing Goody, I was saving the town's future. The true God would consume everything, including the next generation. It would savor their souls in heaven. Goody's screams stopped, and the priest cried. He went on to his usual sermon of "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." The same tiresome prattle he gave every Sunday, with a dose of fire and brimstone. I would suffer none of these witches, these pagans, to live. And the priest would give me all the children who misbehaved. With that said, I must return home. I have a roast to attend.